What exactly is the point of this? Don't bother answering that. We all know the point is selling tickets and thus entirely rhetorical. What I'm driving at is that while there really isn't anything especially wrong with Beauty and the Beast, it's the first of this live-action Disney fairy tale cycle that's not even pretending there was some other compelling reason for a remake other than to score a big box office off generational nostalgia and ensure that future generations of Disney fans have to buy two versions of their favorite movies. I mean, the Cinderella remake was about recentering the title character and giving her more agency, since when you actually go back and watch the original, it's mostly about the mice and the cat. That Jungle Book remake was an interesting attempt to decouple the original story from Kipling's implicit racism and explicit colonial romanticism. Maleficent was doing something completely different and unique, and that's why it's the best one. And even those two Alice movies briefly gave us all. Beauty and the Beast, on the other hand, has no such pretense, likely because it doesn't think it needs to. Just about everyone agrees that the original is either the best animated Disney movie period, or at least the best of the Renaissance era, so there's nothing to attempt to fix or pretend is in need of some dramatic new take. It's a blow-by-blow recreation of the original, with a majority of minor changes slotted in to accommodate some new songs among the classics, plus a bunch of obvious plot mechanic fixes grafted on to address the long-standing issues like how old is the Beast supposed to be again, and why it takes wildly different lengths of time to travel between Belle's village and the castle depending on what scene it is. And taken strictly on its own merits as what amounts to a studio producing their own fan film, it's not half bad. Emma Watson gives an interesting turn as Belle, Luke Evans puts a slightly edgier spin on Gaston, he's not such a buffoon this time, everyone acquits themselves admirably in the singing department, and the casting for the various talking objects in Belle's castle is pretty inspired. Everyone is very clearly going through the motions and paying homage to the classic, and while that doesn't add up to much new or exciting as far as I'm concerned, hey, if watching a bunch of present-day actors reenact a movie you loved as a kid and seeing a bunch of Disney's best songs get blown up live-action Broadway style is what you're looking for, I can't really fault you. There are certainly worse ways to spend an afternoon currently sitting in theaters. You know, to be perfectly honest, if there's one glaring issue I have with this new movie, it's that the Beast himself just doesn't work. It didn't really work for me, at least, and not because I don't watch Downton Abbey, so I have no reference for who the hell this Dan Stevens guy is supposed to be. The thing is, almost every live-action version of Beauty and the Beast has been limited somewhat by how difficult it is to realize the Beast as a character. That's part of why it lent itself so well to animation in the first place, because the animators were free to just dream up this crazy alien-looking creature that walked like a gorilla but was also a lion, a buffalo, and a bear. You'd think they'd take the opportunity to use motion capture and CGI in this version to make him look really interesting in live action, you know, because we can do that now. But instead, the overall design they went with just looks like something that could have been accomplished with makeup and prosthetics. He actually looks more human and less like a monster than he ever did as a cartoon. I assume it's the same philosophy as the Star Trek alien makeups, i.e. show as much of the actor's face as possible so we can see them when they emote, but he's just kind of a boring lead as a result. And that's a problem because he gets much more screen time in this version to get a whole new solo song number of his own and some backstory stuff about having an abusive father that's supposed to explain why he was a dick and also weirdly try to justify why the servants are all cursed too, none of which really adds up to much. Also not adding up to much is the big controversy over making Josh Gad's LeFou gay in this version. I mean, yeah, hey, good on Disney for saying, yeah, it's a kid's movie in 2017, so that shouldn't be a big deal, but for all the build-up it's gotten in the press, it's pretty amusing to find out that 90% of it is just gags, innuendo, and asides that all feel borrowed from when The Simpsons was doing the exact same routine with Mr. Smithers 20 years ago. The payoff is cute, but like the rest of the movie, it's all very perfunctory. Look, I don't know, guys. I didn't dislike the movie, but I did find myself wishing that they'd at least tried to find some new spin on the material, or even some other thematic concept to explore to make this more than just a studio taking a victory lap in celebration of a movie everyone already agreed was great. 2.5 stars, but I suspect some people will get a lot more out of it than I did.